Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the kickoff of the Franny Sri Lanka app. I'm Malshani Gamage and I'll be your host for today. So I'm pretty sure most of you know what you're here for, but then let me give you a quick overview of what we are looking at today. So Franny is the Food Recognition Assistance and Nudging Insights, an AI-assisted mobile phone application developed as a global initiative to promote healthy dietary choices. Although it is an app, to tell you that it's not open to the public just yet, but for the scientific community. So everybody who's a scientist can contribute, can work with it, can learn from it. So Franny Sri Lanka, why we are here today, was specifically designed with female adolescents in mind, and the years of training, modeling, research undertaken by its team is nothing short of remarkable. They could not have achieved all these milestones without the support of Viable University of Sri Lanka, my alma mater, I'm proud to say, and nor the financial assistance given by CGIAR and IFPRI. They are highly appreciated, as is the presence of all of you, our esteemed guests. And I would also like to specially welcome our chief guest, Senior Professor Dr. Udit K. Jayasinghe, Vice Chancellor of Viable University of Sri Lanka, to the program. So let me not keep you any longer, because today's lineup will take you through all the ins and outs of the app and this initiative in more detail. Here's a video insight into what today is all about.
Critical foods and nutrients remain at optimal level. Lack access to the information and support insights. Franny is an innovative app created specifically for adolescent girls in Sri Lanka. Franny guides adolescent girls to make access effortlessly. Pay healthier to
Now that we got a glimpse into what Franny Sri Lanka is, it's now time for our speakers to enlighten and entertain you. Mind you, this might be nested within a scientific conference, but this is a little beyond a scientific meeting. You'll have, we have some entertainment arranged for you as well, so please await that. Before I first speak on stage on behalf of the organizers, I would like to remind all our distinguished speakers and presenters that we are working under a strict timeline, so please do stick to the time allowances allowed to you. So now let me welcome our first speaker. It's Professor Renuka Silva from the Department of Nutrition of Viable University of Sri Lanka, and a massive pillar behind this. And he will be introducing his presentation titled Fresh Scope of Work and Franny Sri Lanka. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am speaking on behalf of my research team who developed the FRANI by connecting different dots, Sri Lanka, United States, and many other partners around the world. So let me very quickly give you an overview of FRANI, the food recognition assistance and nudging inside the app, and it's also a part of the big project that we are conducting in Sri Lanka, fruits and vegetables for sustainable healthy diets, fresh. You will be hearing this the term fresh in different sessions today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow. So Wayamba University is one of the local partners of FRESH, and the FRESH has several global partners. Wayamba University is playing the key role in conducting the FRESH work, and as a part of that, the FRANI has been emerged. Let me quickly tell you the background of the FRESH project. So as all of you having nutrition background knows that worldwide there is a problem in fruits and vegetable consumption. The consumption is too low compared to the WHO recommendation, and therefore high prevalence of malnutrition, and also it is contributed to the diet-related non-communicable diseases. So there are 4 major key barriers to increasing the intake of fruits and vegetables. One is availability. So even in Sri Lanka, there is a gap between the production and the requirement. And also there's a food waste. Accessibility is also a problem. Safe, diverse fruits and vegetables are often not easily accessible. And affordability is also a problem, especially for the very vulnerable groups because of the high cost of safe, diverse fruits and vegetables, and the desirability. Even the fruits and vegetables are available widely as a tropical country in Sri Lanka. Sometimes the consumers do not like to eat fruits and vegetables. So with that background, the FRESH project started, and the FRESH project mainly target at 3 different aspects. First one is the supply, and the next one is food environment and the demand. We start actually from the demand, so that's the importance of this project. We want to create the demand from the consumers, and then we expect that the supply will cater the demand of fruits and vegetables. So we have already started the project, and the project is going on for another couple of years, and 2025 is very crucial with some interventions. So there are the global partners, or the different countries joining work in FRESH. That's Benin, Tanzania, and along with Sri Lanka, Philippines is also part. So as I already mentioned, mainly the FRESH project focus on fruits and vegetable because at national level the fruits and vegetable consumption is very low, and also the production has issues, and therefore in addition to that we have been going through a lot of shocks starting from COVID and the economic crisis, and there are some others related to the food system. On top of that, Ministry of Health introduced revised food-based dietary guidelines. Where are we now? So as nutritionists, scientists, we are not yet happy about the food-based dietary guidelines, the awareness of the people. We visited the schools. There's less awareness. So the health ministry officials are here. Agriculture ministry officials, we have invited the Minister of Education. We invited for this session, and we hope that our main purpose is connecting the dots as the theme of this the session. So food-based dietary guidelines correctly said that individuals should eat 2 to 3 fruits per day or 3 to 5 vegetables per day. So then therefore, the app developed by, led by YB University and developed by our partners, we target to harness the AI-driven nudges to transform especially the adolescents' diets for sustainable, healthy future. So you will be listening to my team members, and also you will see the glimpse of the app in the next half an hour or 45 minutes. Thank you very much for attending. We hope much more exciting things in the next few minutes or within half an hour. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have a titled Nudging for Good, AI-driven diagnostics and behavior change to improve diets and nutrition. This will be delivered by two remarkable ladies, Dr. Gloria Folson from the University of Ghana and Dr. Phoong Hong Nguyen, representing the International Food Policy Research Institute and the University of Pharmacy and Medicine in Vietnam. They will be sharing the thought process, evolution, way forward, and their own country's experiences with FRANI. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gloria, as introduced, and I'm happy presenting with Dr. Phoong Nguyen on Nudging for Good, AI-driven diagnostics and behavior change to improve diets and nutrition. With everything going on, Phoong, I feel like we're history already. Okay, can we go on? So we're on behalf of a much wider interdisciplinary multinational team led by Dr. Aulo Jelly at the International Food Policy Research Institute, Washington, D.C. Right, so the need for FRANI, I guess, was born out of the challenges of unhealthy diets and the need for a tool that could easily assess diets and also lead to behavior change. Next slide. Right, so what was the problem? Nutrition and diets in school-age children and adolescents is very critical because at that stage, it influences their development and growth. Another challenge is that at that stage, poor nutrition in adolescent girls can lead to intergenerational problems, deficits in growth, cognitive ability, and such. And we also realized that school-age and adolescent diets have been largely left out when setting global targets. Could it be because of the gaps that exist on diets of these age groups? Well, dietary assessment or dietary data is collected most commonly using the multi-pass 24-hour recall method. That method has been validated in adults in low and middle income countries for their own reporting or for the reporting of their own diets and that of their children. But the ability of, or the age at which children and adolescents are able to accurately report their nutrition, their diet intake is not very clear. There's also the thinking that technology-assisted dietary assessment tools could be helpful in this age group, but then there was little record of how feasible and valid these would be. So these are the thoughts that led us to developing FRANI. So with a seed amount of $1.2 million from Butner Foundation and the CGIAR, Nudging for Good, aimed at developing using innovative AI technology, mobile technology, applying real-time diagnostics, both to assess diets and also bring about behavior change. And we started the first research projects in Ghana and Vietnam. That's why we're here. Okay. Okay, so this is just demonstrating how Franny works. Can you click it? So that's a bowl of food, and this is how the AI, recognizes it after the mutated and AI models developed. And so just taking a of a food on a can give us the estimated weight, the date and how much was consumed. Right, so validation studies in Ghana and Vietnam showed that the Franny app could perform dietary intake assessment just as accurately as the 24-hour recall, both in school-age children and adolescents at a real fraction of the cost. And they're looking for the app, how much carbon, all the different nutrients that you're interested in, it's able to give it to you just, at the snap of a pen. So we the results showing how valid it was both in Ghana and Vietnam. Okay, so basically using humans, and the 24-hour recall method costs about $500 per daily recall. And that, we factored all the training, transportation, remuneration, and all of that. And Franny can do the same job with the same accuracy at just $50. So I'll hand over to Fong to tell us how Franny also influences behavior change.
So we hear from Gloria that Franny can accurately to estimate the portion size and the nutrient intake of the adolescent. We also use a Franny with the purpose to improve the dietary behavior change among adolescents. Here we have two versions of Franny, as you can see in the picture. On the right, we have a Franny control that only have a function that adolescent can use to take picture of the food, and it recognizes the food and get the nutrient intake or the amount. But we also have a Franny treatment. It have a more function. That function can have a home dashboard. Adolescent can set a goal for each day. Just example, in a day they can set a goal that they need to eat vegetables, they need to eat dairy or the milk or the lentils, all kind of things. So they set the goal of about 5 food group a day, and then they enter each food that they eat every day. And then after they get it, the app can give them score and the badge or the medal, so that to cheer them or to accomplish them that they are doing a good job. And they give the adolescent a daily report, like in each day, how many foods they eat and do they get the target or not, and all kind of thing. So by doing that, we can compare the one who use a control function or the one who use a treatment function to see how their behavior change. So we did 2 pilot studies. In Vietnam, we randomized pilot track about 30 days among the adolescent female between 12 to 19, and we can see that Franny nudge can help to improve a better diet. It increase the mean of daily Eat Lancet dietary score by 1.1 point over a base of about 3.7. In Sri Lanka, we also see that the Franny nudge toward more diverse diet. Just example, we follow the Franny app about 55 days, and then we see that it increased the diet diversity score about 0.4 points, or the effect size of 0.3 standard deviation, which effect size. So the key takeaway we want to say is FANI not only help us to measure dietary intake, which can save a lot of time with a fraction of cost, and it can improve the measurement of the peak season. But it can also suggest that it can be used to behavioral change to help improve a better diet. So that is really a good news. So the good news also is it is an app that we can continue to improve the peak season and by estimation algorithm and also improve the database. So now we plan to take it on scale that basically in the FANI we have four periods. The period 1 is building the food and image database. Phase 2 is develop AI model. Phase 3 is a pilot test, and phase 4 is deploy and scale up. So in Sri Lanka, in Ghana and Vietnam, we already complete the first 3 phases, and now in Ghana they do phase 4. In Vietnam, we are seeking for funding to continue with phase 4. We also start to expand to other countries. In Sri Lanka and Malawi is in the green color. We have funded to start phase 1, 2, 3, and we plan also seeking for further funding to expand to Benin, Burundi, and Kenya. So at the end of the day, we want the app can help for 3 types of clients. One is individual, they can use the app to monitor their diet. 2 is research or government entity can use that to collect high quality in the diet. And 3 is other development partner or whoever that conducts the school meal program can use the app to monitor the quality of the program. I just would like to acknowledge a lot of institutions and a lot of individuals have involved in this project from different countries. Some new members are not here, just a bit. Soira here is with us for Vietnam, but because new, I would say her name is not here. But we have a lot of people in different countries to involve in this project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Folson and Dr. Nguyen. That was quite an eye-opener. And now, on behalf of the Director of the Nutrition Division of the Ministry of Health of Sri Lanka, we have our next distinguished speaker, Dr. Sachinta Dilhani, Consultant Community Physician of the Ministry, to enlighten you on promoting food-based dietary guidelines through FRANI. Dr. Dilhani.
Good evening, everyone. So I am tasked with delivering this presentation on promoting food-based dietary guidelines through FRANI. So I'm privileged to introduce you all the food-based dietary guidelines for Sri Lankans and to discuss how this new app would enhance the promotion of these guidelines and contribute in embedding these guidelines into practice, especially among youth. So I'd like to begin my presentation with a famous saying, "You are what you eat." I think you all have heard this. This is a simple but powerful message which reflects the huge bond between what you eat and its effect on your health. So by keeping that in your mind, let's see what is this food-based dietary guidelines. I think you all are aware of this, and let's see why these guidelines are necessary for a country like Sri Lanka. So as you all heard, our dietary pattern has drastically changed during last few decades. Now we can observe poor food consumption patterns among our adults, including low intake of fruit and vegetables and high consumption of salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats. And with the sedentary lifestyles, we can see increasing trend of overweight and obesity among adults, in turn leading to increasing trend of non-communicable diseases like diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, and cancer. So if I quickly go through some findings of latest STEP survey which was conducted in 2021 among adults aged 18 to 69 years old in Sri Lanka, you can see that almost 50% of our women are either overweight or obese. And at the same time, if we, let's see the consumption of fruits and vegetables, you can see at the last row, percentage who ate less than 5 serving sizes, WHO recommended level of fruit and vegetable on average per day, it's almost 70%, 67.8%. So further, the consumption of salt, it's almost 3 times higher than the recommended level among our adults. You can see the mean intake of salt per day in grams, it's 14.2. So there are so many challenges in our dietary pattern, but I restricted only to these 3 because of the time restriction. So that's why we need a kind of these guidelines, food-based dietary guidelines, to practice uniform written guidelines to provide to our people. So if we go just quickly go through the history of these guidelines, the first FBDG was published in 2002, and then it was revised in 2011, and the latest update is done in 2021. So this was carried out by the Nutrition Division, Ministry of Health, reflecting new evidence-based intervention and integrating environmentally sustainable healthy diet concept too. So actually, this revision process began in 2019 with input from various stakeholders in the Ministry of Health and Academia, and I must acknowledge the support, technical support and financial support given by the FAO and UNICEF for printing this guideline. And at the same time, if I mentioned about the key features of this edition, it is presented in a user-friendly, attractive format to raise awareness of healthy eating. And a thorough revision was done across all chapters with the addition of new content, including chapter on sleep, functional foods, and vegetarian diets. So altogether, it includes 18 dietary guidelines. Among those, 14 food-based dietary guidelines are targeting for healthy adults, and 4 special messages targeting children under 5, school children, pregnant and lactating mothers, and elderly group. So this was healthy stuff, but can be easily understood by everyone. If you haven't go through this yet, you can just visit the Nutrition Division website, and it is there in all 3 languages. So if I quickly go through the major key messages, because there are 18 messages, but I will just go through 8 key messages, which I think that it is relevant to this FRANI app. So first guideline, we say to add color to your daily meals, balance in the correct amounts. So this emphasizes the need of having dietary diversity, and also getting a balanced diet from all 6 food groups. So second message is about consumption of carbohydrate. So here we recommend to eat whole grains and their products, including less polished or parboiled rice, instead of refined grains and products. Our third key message is on the consumption of vegetables and green leafy vegetables and fruits. So here we recommend to eat at least 2 vegetables, 1 green leafy vegetable, and 2 fruits daily. That's the recommended level. And these are the slides we prepared for the dissemination of these messages through social media. So each message has the key message on the top and the daily required amount in small fonts at the bottom. So the fourth key message is on the consumption of protein. Here we recommend to eat fish or egg or lean meat with pulses at every meal. These are the key messages. And fifth is on dairy products. We recommend to have fresh milk or its fermented products. we say drink fresh milk, eat fermented fresh milk products such as curd and yogurt. Our sixth message is on promoting so here we say eat a handful of nuts or oily seeds daily. Nuts such as peanuts, cashew, as well as oily seeds such as gingerly, pumpkin seeds give you healthy fat. Seventh and eighth message are urging to limit salt and sugar consumption. Our seventh message recommend to limit salty foods and adding salt to food. Here our recommendation is to take less than 1 teaspoon, that means 5 grams of iodized salt per person per day. Eighth message is again on sugar. It's we recommend to limit adding sugars to food and beverages, and also to limit consumption of sugar to 6 teaspoons daily. So these are the major key messages relevant to this app. And there are other altogether 18 messages are there in the guideline, and each message has separate chapter giving all details related to that message. And in addition to those key messages, this guideline contains information on serving sizes, the serving sizes and the number of servings required from all 6 food groups. Those are given in detail in this guideline. Now, after exploring the FBDGs, let's see how this Franny app can help in disseminating these messages in the FBDG. Simply, this app tracks diets, recognize foods through photos, give dietary information based on our food-based dietary guidelines from Sri Lankans, and provide gamified nudges to prompt healthy dietary choices. That is how you all have described your app in social media. So I think this is an effective tool to popularize and disseminate FBDGs because it gives personalized feedback. It offers tailored dietary suggestions based on our guidelines, and it will help users understand their nutritional needs. More importantly, youth engagement. It appeals to tech-savvy young users, fostering early adoption of healthier habits, and encourage sustainable behavior change through innovative tech-driven solutions. And if we talk about the behavioral impact, it indirectly motivates users to align their diet with FBDGs and promote consistent positive dietary habits. Reach-wise, I think as it utilizes mobile technology, it will reach a broad group of population, facilitating dissemination of FBDGs at scale, particularly among underserved population. So, by making FBDGs accessible, relatable, and actionable, this app can play a pivotal role in improving dietary habits at both individual and population level. To conclude my presentation, I congratulate the team for this successful launching of this app today, and I wish continued success in advancing this app even further. So, let's continue working together to empower individuals to make healthier food choices for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I really hope you make this available to the public soon, because I sure don't follow half of that and I need help as much as possible. Okay, so now that we have some insight into the background of Franny and how it came to be, let us now get to know Franny up. For this purpose, let me now invite Dr. Tushanti Pereira of the Department of Nutrition at YM University of Sri Lanka. Dr. Pereira.
Welcome everyone. It is such a great pleasure to see a house full of audience here today. So I am tasked with to talk about in this coming 10 minutes of time to really walk you through how we developed Franny in the Sri Lankan context. Now I want to remind that what a monumental moment this is for the local research partner, Department of Applied Nutrition, YM University of Sri Lanka. We've been coming through a long journey with the help of our country partners, amazing country partners, Ghana and Vietnam and the international team, learning from each other to sort of upgrade constantly this particular application. So now I will sort of walk you through how we developed Franny in the Sri Lankan context, sort of how it was incepted, modified, tailor-made to suit into a very specific demographic within the Sri Lankan context. So as of now, I think you have a pretty good idea as to what this is. So Franny is an AI-assisted smartphone application which was specifically designed to track and record diets of female adolescents in Sri Lanka. Now, as the description suggested, this is the app uses artificial intelligence. So as opposed to other conventional applications that track diets or health, so Franny is quite smart because it is using AI. So because of the use of AI, Franny will be able to do several things at once very efficiently and effectively and quickly and in a very fun way. So it should be able to capture any food item that you would sort of want to capture through Franny. And in the same time, it will be tracking what you are eating to see whether you are making good choices in terms of your dietary intake. And also it is able to give you different statistics, and these statistics are basically to sort of give you an idea about how much energy you are eating, and also to track your macronutrient intake and micronutrient intake. And it is able to sort of look into your diet and give you dietary diversity scores so that you know which groups you are eating, consuming throughout the day. And finally, one other interesting fact about Franny is that it sort of uses the concept of gamification, which is a very common sort of popular concept in certain fields. Now it is being applied to the field of nutrition and health. So through sort of customized nudges, we are hoping to sort of push or nudge the users to make better, sustainable dietary choices and to make better choices so that they can upgrade their nutrition and health. So this is all Franny can do in terms of right now, but we are hopeful that, maybe Franny will be able to do more marvelous, wonderful things in the future because we have a really good team working together. So now, I told you now this has been a journey. So Franny was not born just yesterday or day before. This is a long journey that sort of encompassed about 2-3 years of work. So it would be quite a difficult task to sort of summarize everything that we have done during these 2-3 years to about 10 minutes time. So I will try to sort of make this as much as digestible to all of you. So I will keep it simple and I will just walk you through 5 major steps that we did to sort of give birth to Franny in the Sri Lankan context. So the very first step was to sort of in Franny to understand or sort of read different types of food, because this is a computer vision assisted application. When you take a photograph of a food, it should be able to recognize it. So to do that, we have to sort of feed into the mainframe thousands of photographs. And then once you have these photographs, we have to convert it into a language where the artificial intelligence would be able to read and understand. So then, sort of a tedious task of food annotations took place for very specific software. Now, one half of the sort of the equation, and then you have these photographs, you have them annotated, and then you need to sort of link that information into the nutrition composition data. So to do that, we created several sets of metadata, food data sets that with basically comprising of the nutrition information, the macro, micronutrient profile, and also sort of classifying all these food ingredients into food groups to give us the dietary diversity scores. And once we have these 3 steps, it was fairly sort of easy. Probably not easy, but it took some time to train the app to the Sri Lankan context to see if the app is working, whether it is recognizing our food, whether it is able to sort of link all that food metadata to a picture or a photograph. And now we are in the process of, so we kind of finished, we went through all these, first 4 steps over the last few years. And now we are at the very end, we are to see its validity, and we are pilot testing it to make sure to see if it is doing what it is supposed to do, as well as how usable, acceptable, and likable the app this particular demographic that we are interested in. So let's take a closer look, because I'm pretty sure that whatever that I have explained to you might be a little too complicated or technical. So we'll take a closer look into Franny and how it came to be. So the first step, I indicated that a lot of photos have to be taken. So that was because one thing we had to do first is we have to sort of figure out how we are going to put into the application. Now you have to remember the app right now is limited in terms of how many food items that you can feed into. The upper limit is 250 food items. So keeping that in mind, what we did was we sort of scouted and researched, and we came up with 238 priority food items that we figured out that are mostly consumed by this particular demographic that we are interested in. So any food representing these 238 food items, the app will be able to recognize through a photograph. But 238 food items seems a little slim, so we wanted to expand our food list, and we included a set of manual entry food items. So we had about 164 of them. So the difference is in the manual entry food list, the app will not be able to identify them through a photograph, but the information is given in the app. Use them, and the nutrition information will still come. Once we identify all these 238 food items, we had to take a large number of photographs to give in various scenarios as to how these food will be photographed. So at the end of the day, I think we fed 8,000 annotated photographs to develop Franny Sri Lanka. So to a little bit about photo taking, so all the photos were taken with a smartphone with 2 different angles to sort of facilitate the surface area counting, as well as to capture to some level the depth information. So to facilitate the portion size estimation, we have to use a pop socket. This is some specific standardized visual prop. I will see you in the next slide what it looks like. And all the photos were sort of separated into 4 portion sizes: small, medium, large, and extra large. And they were sort of plated in very different ways to reflect the real life situation. So this is just as kind of an excerpt of a photograph as to how differently we have captured single food items as well as combination food items. Now this is the pop socket that I was referring to earlier, this little smiley face guy. So it has a sort of a standard diameter. It is not changing, it is a constant. So this is the app food recognition algorithm will be able to sort of identify this pop socket and sort of scale the pixels into weight and give you the information related to portion size. So that is how AI-assisted Franny is doing this very quickly, sort of recognizing a photograph and capturing the portion size information. So Dr. Gloria and Dr. Pong has already shown you this. So this is how the food annotation was done. So it was kind of, we have to do this through a specific software, but it helps sort of, the AI to separate out what food is and what not food is from a photograph that the Franny would take. Now I told you a lot of information related to food was sort of linked. So we had to create several food metadata compilations. Now these were, I'm sure this is not very clear to you to read in the far back, but I'll quickly go through that these compilations were done to link the nutrition information. So it has a food class classification based on ingredients, so that you can assign, these different ingredients into different food groups, so that it will help the app to calculate the dietary diversity score. And then we have recipe informations taken to calculate the ingredient fractions. This was done to basically calculate, understand the nutrition information as well as to information, because all these 238 food items I told you before were cooked, portioned, and measured to calculate these amounts. And the food composition data for raw ingredients were also calculated and compared. This information given to create the final version of Franny Sri Lanka. So this is sort of a peek into the final Not going to spoil the fun here because we have much more elaborative illustrations coming up with respect to the app. So I will just, skip this for now, and in a few minutes time, you will see a very good demonstration as to how Franny Sri Lanka is currently working and how successful it has become, and we are very proud of what we have created. So I think it's time to slowly get to know Franny Sri Lanka better, and we are excited to share this moment with you, and I hope you would enjoy looking into a peek to see how it works, and I hope you would understand how it works sort of in a nutshell with our demonstration. So with this, I will sort of conclude the session on Get to Know Franny Sri Lanka, and then we will move on to the much more exciting parts listed in the agenda today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Not in the scientific, the amount of work that has gone into it is absolutely mind-blowing. So thank you so much for that insight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are fast approaching what we have all been waiting for, the kickoff of Franny Sri Lanka, the app. To mark this truly momentous occasion, we now have a cultural dance, remember my promise from earlier, which will be then followed by the actual launch.
Usitapura bhavanena adala devidu sanakin dunya kuda piligani denmena setana pasunetu nata shri sarva mangalyam yatha devena samyutam sugandhati nata swami namo.
After that fun intervention, we have now come to the pinnacle of this program, the launching or the kicking off of Franny Sri Lanka, the app. And to do this absolute honor for us, I would like to cordially invite Senior Professor Udit K. Jayasinghe, Vice Chancellor of IFPRI University of Sri Lanka, to kick off the Franny Sri Lanka app. Shall we give them a round of applause once more, ladies and gentlemen? They truly deserved it. Congratulations to all who were involved. Your years of unwavering dedication, time, effort has been manifested, although sadly not for the public, but for the scientific community. You can, have your way with it. All right, anyway, thank you so much, sir. Well, looking forward, let us now move on to the next speaker. What is the way forward for Franny Sri Lanka? To enlighten you on how to use the app, its functions, its validity, we now have Ms. Nilmini Karunaratne, PhD candidate from the IFPRI University of Sri Lanka. Ms. Nilmini.
Good evening all and a warm welcome. So this is the time to dive into an exciting demonstration of how Franny Sri Lanka works. So in just a moment, we'll play a video to showcase the innovative features and the capabilities of Franny Sri Lanka in action. So get ready and let's have a closer look.
Hello, welcome to Franny. When you open the app, the first thing you can see the sign-in page. You have to input your email address, password, and then press the sign-in button. When you sign in, you need to set your dietary goals for the day. The app allows you to select goals based on your preference. The next interface after setting dietary goals shows the dietary diversity score, sustainable healthy diet score, and your goals score. And also find the statistics here. Tapping on the camera icon takes you to the picture taking interface. To take the picture, make sure entire plate or bowl shows in the screen. Also make sure the popsicle appears in the picture. After the taking picture, press recognize my food. Now waits for the picture to upload it and recognized. Once the picture has recognized, the AI would display a list of possible foods in the picture. If the possible list of foods provided by the AI does not include the food in the picture, click on the Add More options to add food items. Using the scroll bar, you can now drag to quantify the estimated foods you eat. You can also now add the size of the meal item by click on the Select Size option. When you are done, you can click on the Confirm option to log in meals. You can then select whether the meal was consumed today or yesterday. Click the Finish Confirmation. You are done logging the meal. This interface shows nutritional statistics and the composition of the meal consumed. You will obtain a badge every time you log in a meal, achieving a goal or any score. You can share the badges with the team. Your daily statistics will be updated. The dietary diversity score tells you that you consume diverse food groups in the day. The sustainable healthy diet score measures how your meals impact the environment. This interface shows your weekly statistics. You can also view these medals or badges you achieved in this interface. This interface shows you all the food options that you log into the app. You can also react to the badges shared by your app friends. You can send a heart, thumbs up or fire emoji. Also, the app allows you to change the password and change the language at any time. Have fun using Franny. So by now, I hope you all have gained a clear and insightful understanding of how Franny works. So the next step in our research journey was to validate this Franny, ensuring its reliability in the real-world application. So the main aim was to validate this Franny against the gold standard of weight food record method and compare its performance to the standard of 24-hour recall method. So there were 4 major objectives. So the first one was to estimate the mean nutrient intake reported from the 3 methods. And the second one was to estimate the validity of the Franny app versus weight food record method to measure macro and micronutrient intake. And the third one was to compare the relative agreement of Franny app versus the 24-hour recall method. And the fourth one was to assess the errors in the Franny app and the 24-hour recall method. So when it comes to the methodology, we recruited 60 adolescent girls aged between 14 to 18 years in peri-urban communities in northwestern province in Sri Lanka, and we recruited our participants on a voluntary basis. So in here, you can see how did we collect the dietary intake data from the 3 methods. So we collected dietary intake data for 2 non-consecutive days from the 3 methods, Franny app, 24-hour recall method, and the weight food record method. So the reference day for all 3 methods was same, therefore it's directly comparable. So the data collection through Franny app and the weight food record was undertaken simultaneously, whereas the data collection through the 24-hour recall method undertaken a following day. So a trained enumerator visited our participants' household early in the morning to collect the dietary intake data from the Franny app and also from the weight food record method. So they waited until their last meal in the evening to collect the dietary data from the weight food record method. In the following day, a different enumerator visited the same participant's household to collect the dietary intake data from the 24-hour recall method. So at the end, we collected dietary intake data from 120% days. So actually, we did our validation study very recently. Therefore, the data analysis is in progress, and you can see the major key outcomes we will see at the end of the dietary analysis. So according to the preliminary results, we can say that Franny is a valid tool for the dietary assessment among Sri Lankan adolescent girls in Sri Lanka. So in this picture, you can see the ratios of daily nutrient intake from the Franny app versus weight food record. For the ratios for energy, protein, fat, and fiber within the 15% bound. And all the micronutrients except calcium, thiamine, B6, and vitamin B12 are in the 20% bound. And all key micronutrients, iron, is within the 10% bound. And the other micronutrients such as vitamin A, folate, zinc are also within the 15% bound. So we can say this Franny is a valid tool to estimate the dietary intake among Sri Lankan adolescent girls. So we are waiting for further results and we are doing the dietary analysis. So, and we are excited to share some feedback from our study participants. I think this is the best time to say what they have to say. So let's have a close look.
මමත් වයම විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය මගින් හඳුන්වා දුන්න ෆ්‍රෙනී ඇප් එක අත්හදා බැලීමේ පරීක්ෂණයට සහභාගී වුණා. ඉතින් මේ ෆ්‍රෙනී කියන්නේ ගොඩක් හොඳ ඇප් එකක්. මේක තරුණ වැඩිහිටි ළමා ඕනම කෙනෙකුට භාවිතා කරන්න පුළුවන් ඇප් එකක්.
ඉතින් මේ ඇප් එක හරහා අපිට පුළුවන් අපි දවසකට ගන්න ආහාර වේල වගේම ඒ ආහාර වල තියෙන පෝෂක පදාර්ථ මොනවද කියලා දැනගන්න. ඉතින් ඇත්තම කිව්වොත් අද කාලේ වෙනකොට තාක්ෂණය ගොඩක් දියුනේ. කුඩා ළමයිනුත් ස්මාර්ට් ෆෝන්ස් ගොඩක් භාවිතා කරනවා. ඉතින් මේ ෆ්‍රෙනී ඇප් එක අපිට ඒ හරහා ගොඩක් පහසුවෙන් වගේම ලේසියෙන් භාවිතා කරන්න පුළුවන්.
අද වන විට කුඩා ළමුන් පවා පිළිකා වැනි බොහෝ නොවන රෝගවලට ගොදුරු වෙමින් පවතිනවා. ඒකට එක හේතුවක් තමයි ක්ෂණික කෑම වලට හුරු වෙලා තියෙන එක. ඉතින් මේ ඇප් එකෙන් අපිට පුළුවන් පෝෂක පදාර්ථ ආහාර මොනවද කියලා දැනගෙන ඒවා ආහාරයට ගන්න.
ඉතින් ඔයාලා හැමෝටම පුළුවන් ෆ්‍රෙනී ඇප් එක පාවිච්චි කරලා බලන්න.
So here these stories tells us the impact of Franny. So keep watching to learn more about Franny and how the Franny inspiring future for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nilmini. And now we have Dr. Tushanti Pereira of the Department of Nutrition at Wayamba University of Sri Lanka back on stage to explain the expectations of the Franny Sri Lanka team and future milestones. Back to you, Dr. Pereira.
So in this penultimate session, before we sort of wind up today's events, I will be basically sort of explaining to you our expectations and future milestones as to what we are planning to do with Franny. You know, we took years and years to develop this, and so much potential and so many wonderful opportunities we can see to sort of take ahead with Franny in the future. So I will basically sort of summarize what our expectations in terms of once we developed the application, we wanted to sort of do the validation, because as I said, we really need to measure whether it is actually capturing what we wanted to achieve. So our validation work we wrapped up at least I think about a month, maybe a month and a half ago. So we are still processing the results, but it seems based on the preliminary work that we are getting promising results similar to Ghana and Vietnam, you know, our other country partners. So our plans before we sort of end this year is to sort of launch our pilot and feasibility study. So where we are sort of planning to test it out with our intended demographic group and to see how feasible the application, you know, how well it is being liked, used, and you know, how well it is accepted within this particular community. Because that is very important moving forward with Franny, because you know our participants need to really sort of absorbed into the application and really have to accept it as a part of their daily routine to sort of track their diets and use it for better nutrition and health outcomes. So I will not go through this in length because Ms. Nilmini already sort of explained to you in detail as to the validation work that we have wrapped up very recently. So the idea was to sort of, you know, see how comparable Franny is to conventional dietary assessment methods such as the weight food record and the 24-hour recall. We wanted to see how well it closely resembles the 24-hour dietary recall. So to do that, we sort of recruited 60 adolescent girls who were within the age of 14 to 18 within Kuliyapitiya area, Sri Lanka, and we sort of administered, you know, 24-hour recalls, and we also used weight food records, and we used Franny to sort of estimate the same day as the weight food record was taken. And now, as I said previously, these are being sort of analyzed, and you know, our international team is working very hard to sort of put together all the results that we have obtained. So we are hopeful to launch our pilot and feasibility study very soon. So for this, we will be recruiting again 60 adolescent girls with the same age variation to use the Franny application for about 4 weeks to sort of see how well it records their diets and how well it tracks their diets. And then at the end of the 4 weeks time, we hope to sort of do a randomized control trial with them where we separate them out into 2 groups and we would share the app with the nudges and app without the nudges. So this is done to basically see how well the nudging system would work with this particular demographic group. To talk a little bit about the nudges, so the nudges were sort of developed in a way or embed to the application in a way that they would address the food-based dietary guidelines, as Dr. Sachinta has mentioned very clearly that this can be used to sort of promote food-based dietary guidelines. So the user has a chance to sort of set their goals based on the food-based dietary guidelines, and based on the goals that they have set, the app will be able to send out gamified nudges throughout the day. So what we hope to measure is actually our main goal for this year was to sort of look into the validity of the Franny, which is already happening, and to see how our users would be adhere to Franny, and to how they would measure the diet quality. And finally, the effectiveness of nudging and the feasibility of using Franny is something that we wanted to really look into. Now, where we are heading, so as I said, so many promising prospects with Franny, because it seems like sky is the limit for Franny. After what we gone through, it seems like we will be constantly upgrading the application throughout. And at the same time, we want to sort of extend this work into different demographic groups. We are hopeful to sort of take this to schools and to see how well Franny can sort of use to map out or, investigate the adequacy and quality of school meals. And also, we would like to sort of take this to different demographics such as young adults, university students, because this research has been already spearheaded in Ghana and Vietnam. We would like to sort of use that. And at the same time, sort of combining, Franny with schools. This is where we need the Ministry of Education's, support to really, understand the app and, work with us to take this to schools because, our adolescents, youngsters, they spend a lot of time in schools, and Franny can do a lot in terms of mapping out their diets. As big plans for 2025, we want to sort of combine our work with government-private partnerships, sort of extending this to a social enterprise. So as for the final thoughts, before I wrap up, this will be a cost-effective, valid, accurate dietary measurement tool, and it will be ready to scale up. So with this, I would like to thank everyone who supported this prospect, and I have an open invitation to anyone who would like to follow us. We will be, a couple of publications will be coming out with our team. So, if anyone would like to join with us, follow our success. And also, if there are any potential funding partners who would like to work with us for the next year, we would welcome you open-heartedly. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, many of you may have questions, but sadly we are running out of time, so we'll have to restrict the Q&A session, limit the Q&A session for a few minutes. But I do invite Dr. Tushanti Pereira to be the moderator again, and the floor is now open for a question and answer session with any questions that you may have.
Okay, so I see a couple of hands raising. Yes, I don't know who would go first. You can. Yes. The mic is coming that way.
Thank you very much. I will start. I think very impressive, and congratulations for the team. I know Sri Lankan culinary is rich with, when we get the curries, come with the gravy. Yes. So how are you going to capture that gravy content? Because with the coconut milk, there's an oil component and contribution of plant protein.
Yeah.
That's the one question.
That's one, part one.
Another one, this is this could definitely use for the behavior change, I'm sure.
Yes.
When once I saw one student talk about which is very good, when we take the pictures and as education tool. when we look at the processed food, is there any behavior change messages coming once they take the pictures and giving kind of any highlights like, this much of processed foods and bad for health and salt, sugar and fat might be there, something?
Okay, so to answer the first question, so we do take account into the gravy. I think Nilmini would be able to better explain it because she was the one who was cooking all this food, portioning out, taking photographs. Nilmini, would you like to
Okay, so regarding the gravies, actually in here, so the AI recognize the, convert the weight with the portion area of the area, it means from the area of the covered by the food. So for the gravy, there are some limitation because it cannot get the depth of the food items. So there is a limitation, but we are in the process of developing, upgrading the app by providing more and more photos, more annotation to improve the accuracy of the app.
So as she mentioned, right now what we are doing is we are accounting for the surface. We are trying to account for the depth information, but it seems like it's a little bit complicated. But right now, when you have the gravy, based on how well the gravy is dispersed, it would be the app would be able to still somehow account. So I think this information we will be able to better tease out when the validation results come in. And in parallel, we have another subset of a study going on to look into depth information. So we are currently processing it. There are some limitations, but as of now, it is pretty good in terms of estimating the gravies right now. But we will see how well we can incorporate that. So for the processed food items, so most of the processed food items are actually in the manual entry list. So we have included it there. So if that information is already there in the app, it would be able to give out the exact nutrition information. So right now we have the basic macronutrients and 11 micronutrients, including fiber. So whatever the photograph that you take, whether the AI figures it out, or if it is a manual entry food, it would still be able to give you that same information. I hope that answers. Okay, so I saw, yes, you are very eager.
No. Do you want to go ahead? Okay,
no, please, after you, ma'am.
Whoever.
Oh, yes. My friend.
Yeah. Congratulations. I think it was so good. I am superly impressed. I have two questions. Your sampling for the volunteers in the initial phase, was it like a snowball procedure, or you just went into the schools and asked them how many of you would like to volunteer?
Yeah, that's how we basically recruited, because to calculate the nutrition information, we only needed 60 adolescents. And because we are collecting 2 days, so it would be like 120 records. So that would be enough to estimate the boundaries between the nutrients. But what we did was, because it was very hard to do the recruitment, so we basically went into the schools and we just, did an open invitation that we have this kind of app. And, if they fit into the profile, we recruited them. So
Okay.
it was not a random assignment. So it was kind of...
It was not snowballing. It was just went into the class,
Yeah.
announced it,
Some of
and
them
you were-
later on came, through the
Okay.
contacts and that, a little bit of that
Okay.
also.
And the
So-
same sample was used for both the days?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And-
each individual would give 2 records.
Okay. And the validation had a different sample?
Validation, different. Pilot, different.
Okay.
Different.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have only 1 minute before we wrap up. No more questions? Okay, sorry everyone. The organizing team says no more questions as we have to wrap up. But we will be here, so if you have any questions, come and talk to us. We will, try to help out you as much as we can. So we will be now going to wrap up this event. Thank you.
Sorry for cutting you short, ladies and gentlemen. Time is time. It just flies by. Anyway, thank you all for being an incredible audience. Have a lovely rest of the day. And we have all the people who we would like to thank on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will immediately go to our final plenary session of the day, aligning actions across sectors to achieve healthy diets and nutrition goals. That's right across the hall in Lotus Ballroom, so you can proceed there immediately. Thank you very much for your attention.